on Dub Zone. Wow, it's elation for the Mariners and heartache for Victory after an epic Ninja A-League Grand Final. We'll break down all the fallout and the storylines that followed. And we'll look back on the year that was as we wrap up season 2024-25. Hello and welcome to the final Dub Zone of the season. I can't believe it's almost over. I'm Amy Duggan and joining me are A-League's commentator Teo Pellizzeri and two-time Ninja A-League Championship winner Teresa Polias. Great to have you both back for a final time this season. How about that grand final? Wasn't it crazy? What caught your eye, T? One of the many things I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was one for the ages, wasn't it? Absolutely enthralling from start to finish and unbelievable that it's the first grand final that's gone to penalties. So, yeah, it was an amazing game.
I mean, you say crazy, I would have said it was bananas. Like this was a grand final. Oh, here we go. Even Jeff Hopkins was getting in on the act. Penalty shootout, no worries. You need a bit of a potassium hit. Unfortunately, that is his reaction to the one penalty that Melbourne Victory missed, but it didn't interrupt his banana.
No, it did not. It is definitely bananas. A great spot now to recap all the drama and emotion of Sunday's decider.
Melbourne Victory on the hunt for a fourth A-League Women's Championship. The Mariners in the decider for the very first time. And a slip. Gomez! Isabel Gomez puts the Mariners in dreamland. And this rising star of the Australian game has stepped up on the biggest stage of them all. Can they make the pressure count? It's blocked on the line. Did it go over? Claudia Bunch peels away in celebration. Victory at level. And Annabelle Martin's best efforts on the goal line could not stop Victory from drawing level with just over 10 minutes to go. And for the very first time, the champion of the Ninja A-League will be decided by a penalty shootout. Janchevsky's penalty to start the shootout in the grand final. Janchevsky puts it into the crossbar. To win the grand final, Bianca Galich for the Mariners. Bianca Galich is good with the penalty. And the Central Coast Mariners are the Ninja A-League champions of 2025.
Yes, the 2025 Ninja A-League champions, Central Coast Mariners, and what a season it's been. All tied up 1-1 after full time, all tied up still after extra time. And as you know, the first grand final to go to penalties in 17 seasons.
Pretty dramatic, wasn't it?
It
was a game where I think the tension was conveyed throughout because in the build-up, we'd spoken about how there'd only ever been one come-from-behind winner, and that was all the way back in 2009. So if you score first, it's so important in the grand final. And I think that really loomed over much of the game, which was still very attacking and had a lot of intent. But, you know, ultimately the team that scored first didn't end up winning, albeit needing penalties to do so.
Yeah, it was really entertaining. Normally we see finals turn into a bit of a scrap, but I thought this one was well played by both teams and could have gone either way. And, yeah, we reached penalties again. You know, a bit of a lottery there. It's always unfortunate, you know, when you do miss in a shootout. So unfortunate for Victory and Alana Janchevsky, but, you know, she'll pick herself up and go again. But well done to the Mariners, 5 out of 5.
A little bit of history repeating. We saw in the elimination final last season, it was Galich against Newbon. She went low to the bottom left last season, went up the middle this time, and is once again successful and ice in the veins, T. They scored all 5 of their kicks.
Bold stuff from the Mariners, and it's always hard coming up against a goalkeeper that you've played with. It gets in your head a bit. It certainly did for me when I missed in a semi and a final. So wasn't the greatest at penalties myself. But, yeah, it's always hard coming up against a keeper that knows you very well in training and in games.
Lots of storylines to get to, but the big one, of course, the Mariners are winning their first ever championship, only been in the competition for the 2 years, and coming from fourth, Teo.
Coming from fourth, it's not totally unprecedented. We have seen it done before, even 2 of Melbourne City's three-peat back in the old top 4 system. But that was where you had just a one-shot semi-final straight to the grand final. It's very different in the current finals format with 2-legged semis and being the away team as well to do it the way they've done it.
Yeah, it makes you really earn it when you haven't finished in those top 2 spots. So you have to really beat those best teams to make the grand final. So I think the form that the Mariners were in the latter stages of the season. I do think they had a dip in form in the middle of the season. We were questioning whether they'd even make semis. So they came really good and they really earned that spot. And it's a huge achievement for a club like the Mariners.
And coming good at the right time, sneaking through the semi-final series to find themselves in the big dance. And it was the Mariners through Izzy Gomez. We had to wait till just after half-time for a mistake, but it was Izzy that put the Central Coast in front.
Describe how Melbourne Victory would feel and Jeff Hopkins would feel about this goal. Giving possession away while facing back to goal. It seems like everything that went wrong could go wrong, and
it did,
Izzy Gomez barely had to get a toe poke on the ball.
I mean, it did there. Look, it's a clearance, it's deflected. I think the most disappointing part was the failed clearance in the end there from Bunge, and these are mistakes you don't see from a team like the Victory. We haven't seen them make a mistake like that in a very, very long time. And a player like Izzy Gomez, she's ready. She's ready at any moment. She thrives on mistakes in the midfield at the back, and she was there at the right time.
It was so noticeable how advanced up the pitch she played in this game, even almost playing as a forward at times. So, of course, she was the one in the right spot at the right time to score.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen her, take this new sort of strength in her game of pushing further up the field, and it's worked wonders for her. We're used to seeing her playing that real disciplined holding role, and to see her getting up the field, it's like a new player, isn't it?
It's almost like a false nine, not even a 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pushing that far forward and contributing to the game so much. Following, of course, this dramatic win, Emily Husband was just overcome with emotion. At first, I'm not sure she knew how to react to the fact that her team had won, but then you saw the smiles come, the screams come, the tears start to flow, and plenty of celebration.
Yeah, it all sort of clicked for her, and I mean, in 2 seasons, what she's done with the Mariners, she said post-match, it was a bit of a coin flip taking that role, and hasn't she just worked wonders with the club and the players she's brought in? You can just tell they feel her belief, and her as a coach, she's a quality coach because they're going out and executing a tactically sound game plan every match.
This is such a triumph of coaching on the various different aspects of the job. 8 of last season's starters in the elimination final were not in the lineup for this grand final.
That's incredible.
So they didn't just reboot when they came in from recession. Or from recess, I should say. They rebooted again this off-season. We talked about the quality of players that had left. Jasmine Wardlow was probably their most important defender last season. Casey Dumont was their starting keeper. Never mind, Kaya Simon, Ergamal, Roller Batawir. They had to Faye Bryson. They had to completely rebuild the entire squad across multiple departments to do that 2 seasons in a row. And yet, I think that is a distant second to how good the in-game coaching was, making adjustments on the fly, recasting Taylor Ray as a centre back, having to get players to adjust their roles and play new positions. The actual match management of Emily Husband is one of the reasons that they were able to upset the odds time and again as underdogs through this final series, and yet it's both aspects. It's both the recruiting and the management, which has been such a success.
It's the management, like you said, and the bold move of backing those youngsters, and they were first up in the penalty shootout. Whether that was a tactical thing, you got less sort of stress as a youngster going into a shootout. It was just so many remarkable elements in the way the Mariners have gone about both seasons.
And yet, I think the final piece of the jigsaw for Em Husband is, and she is, a football tragic who her own players describe her as treating it as like chess on grass. But you can have as much theory as you want. If the players don't buy in and don't listen, it's just noise. I think the reason that she's able to communicate her message is you just have to listen to how the players talk about her and the effect in terms of her personality and communication skills. And I mean, the insights we're picking up is that she does kind of tailor the message for each individual in the group. It's not one message for everyone. And that's very different to a lot of coaches, both in men's and women's football. You have to really know your squad quite well and trust your own communication in order to have that level of relationship with the players.
And your staff too, Teo. She mentioned how much she's lent on the staff around her too. But that relationship, she's a people person, and I think nowadays you, as a coach, I think person management is a massive factor, and you can see the way that the players are around her and how comfortable they've mentioned on the show, how comfortable they are in approaching Em Husband for whatever it may be. So hat off.
Absolutely. And now she has the 2025 Ninja A-League Championship under her belt as well. Our hats off to Em Husband. Let's hear what she had to say following the grand final about all the emotions running through her body.
I was definitely overcome with emotion. I'm not a crier, but I cried like a little baby. I think it's just an emotion. I guess it's meant so much to this entire group, to the staff, to the club. So to see the girls get it over the line it's just an incredible achievement. Yeah, she's an incredibly special player. She's somebody that we know has incredible talent, and she's still got a lot more to give. I don't think she's still even quite at 100% yet. I think I look at our season and wonder what we could have achieved if we'd have had her all season. But you know what? She's not only just an incredible player with great athletic ability and great technical ability, great decision making. She's a phenomenal person as well. So, credit to her, credit to her family. She'll have made a lot of people proud, not just tonight, but for the last 2 seasons. And she's been, an absolute dream to coach. I couldn't ask for a better player.
Emily Husband talking about their championship, but also giving Izzy Gomez quite the wrap-up. She's shy about it, but you can't wipe the smiles off those two faces, can you? She mentioned there what the team could have done if they'd had Izzy all season. Where would they be, T?
Yeah, that's a great question. They were missing Izzy for quite a while, and we know how big a player she is for the Mariners. But in saying that, I thought they dealt well with her absence, and I think she still backed whoever came in, and they were able to stay within that top 6 and then finish 4th.
I would kind of go the other way. I think their season was cratering without her, and she came back at absolutely the right time just to save them. But even with that said, the combination of these two has just been a perfect match, really. Izzy Gomez is a little bit unique in that she played for the Wellington Phoenix in that season in Wollongong after she only played 5 times for the Western Sydney Wanderers, didn't get much of a look in there, then went to New Zealand for a season, and then obviously has come back to Australia. But isn't it also interesting, so a great triumph for women coaching broadly for Em Husband to win the title, but also Izzy Gomez's history. At Wanderers had Catherine Cannulli as an assistant, and then the 2 seasons at Wellington had Gemma Lewis and Natalie Lawrence as her coach, and now Em Husband. So that's 4 consecutive seasons under a female coach, which is a rarity in this competition, isn't it? It
is, and I think it gives a lot of confidence to young or, female coaches, plying their trade and trying to get to where they want to be, that they can achieve amazing things in the league.
But it also probably speaks, as you said, Taya, to the relationship between a female coach and female players, and perhaps how different that looks, but maybe how it's building these young players up and giving them the confidence that they have to go out there at such a young age and star for their teams.
Well, there's a message in on the A-League website. There was an article about Em Husband saying she had to be talked into taking the senior job at Sydney University, never mind in the Ninja A-League. So I think that sometimes it's incumbent on club administrators and the people who make decisions at the top of the club to be bold in their selection and actually actively go and look rather than wait for people to apply, because you just never know who might be slipping through the net.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Mariners season continually just for a minute. Back in round 17, they lost to the Wanderers. Now, we sat here at this very table talking about how their season looked like it was capitulating, T.
It was. There was a real dip, and there were massive concerns about, whether they were going to make the 6, and we were talking about who we thought would make the 6, and the Mariners were always in that, that 5th, 6th place, or maybe they'll miss out as a result of, and it wasn't just Izzy Gomez they were missing. There was times, Bianca Galich was out for a while. These are key players, but they came back at the right time, and I think they managed those players back very well. To be back at their best and even better than what they were pre-injury. And
Wanderers, since that win, picked up 1 point from a possible 18 to end of the season. So the Mariners were low at that point. And I guess it's a credit to the mentality within the group. And we've heard that from the guests, whether it was Taryn King or Taylor Ray, that they never stopped believing. They had a bad day there. But it is remarkable to think they went from losing to the Wooden Spooner to defeating the unbeaten premiers in the semi-final to then ending Melbourne Victory's 15-game winning streak in the grand final. I mean, the turnaround in 10 weeks really does show what's possible.
And it goes to show, you can have peaks and troughs within the regular season, but what matters is your form around finals, and they just timed their form to perfection.
One thing I want to ask both of you, though, how much of the Mariners' success and Em Husband's success, and she even said it after the game speaking to Neve Owens, that she realised the harder she works, the better the results get. How much of that is down to the Mariners being perceived as a smaller club, perceived as resource poor, perceived as having to go...
a commentator continually say they're not going to win all season?
No, I think
there's motivation there, that's for sure.
Let's set bulletin board material aside. How much of this is unique to the Mariners' circumstances that they had just the perfect match of club and person? If Em Husband walked into Melbourne City this season, would she have steered them undefeated to the title? More to the point, if she was coaching the Wanderers this season, would they have only won 4 games?
Yeah.
So I just want to ask, how much is the scarcity of resources actually a factor in getting the best out of this particular coach?
Perhaps next season's performance will be able to answer that, because now, they're not underdogs anymore. They're the champions, and everyone's going to be out to get them next season. So I think next season will be a real test for Em Husband and the group in keeping their standards high and being the best again.
But in redirecting the same question to you, what is Brisbane's excuse? This is a state, Queensland, that's producing, 40 to 50% of the Matildas, and the Brisbane Roar haven't won a final in a decade and haven't played finals in years now. So
I think a lot of it comes back to connectivity, and that comes back to culture. So connectivity of players, being able to build good relationships, understand where players are going to be, understand and buy into the way that the coach wants to play this season, know automatically when we get in this position, this is what we're going to try and do. And I think that's about spending time together, which this team clearly does. And so does Melbourne Victory. We've heard about their, paddleboard episodes, but spending time together, learning the players, and what you're saying earlier about Em learning about her players individually, I think makes a huge difference to being able to build those relationships and then get the best out of people.
So, but is this also a comment about what a coach can do with a perceived talent disparity? Or is this about the underachievements of other teams, or maybe even inconsistency in what makes a winning team versus what makes a national team player? I know that's a very broad question, but do you have any strong thoughts on it, given that it is the end of the season and this is where we can kind of put a pin in the discussion and revisit it at a later date?
I feel like it's a bit of everything, and I think everything that happened in the season kind of fell maybe to the favour of the Mariners in terms of, others didn't do well. Your Brisbane's dropped off.
Canberra.
Yeah, Canberra dropped off during that dip as well. And that, enabled them to stay within the pack. Because if those teams, were performing well, and Perth went on a surge. Wellington, absolutely, great example. But, if those teams performed to their expectation, the Mariners would have missed out on the 6. So everything sort of fell into the hands of the Mariners, I feel. And they took advantage of it, and credit to them. They still had a lot of work to do, and they did it. They did what they could control very well.
And sometimes, as you heard from the players post-match as well, Lady Luck is just on your side time and time again. And I think they all talked about that post-match.
The stars aligned.
They did. There were plenty of big moments in this match, and it was not without controversy and a little bit of spice. Let's take a look at a few of those, and we'll kick it off with Brooke Nunn, who was probably really lucky to stay on the park after kicking out.
Yeah, that was... she sort of started to get a bit ahead of herself there. The emotions were getting a bit out of hand, and I thought she was lucky to stay on the pitch. There was another incident later on as well.
Do you think it's because she didn't connect with the lash out? Like, had she actually connected, would she still be on the pitch?
The exact dialogue we had at home watching was lucky she didn't connect.
Well, but even the perceptions of fans that went to the ground, because so many of them were sitting on the opposite side of the pitch, felt as though it was a definite red card offence. I know they're, parochial Victory fans. I think the referee showed discretion there. It could have been interpreted as a red card offence, but I think Nunn walked right up to the line, and ultimately Janchevski got the booking from that incident. Not even Nunn. It's definitely...
Well, she did tackle her in the first instance.
So it's a yellow card foul from Janchevski, but Nunn, she has ridden her luck, and she's doing the shush in every single photo you see now. So I think that, winners are grinners, and, she gets to, tell the story because history is written by the winners.
Well, and it is in print now and absolutely belongs to the Mariners, but there was a moment in the 93rd minute where Victory were screaming blue for a handball from Taylor Ray. What did you both make of this moment?
I saw a handball. I know it was from close range. Perhaps that's what the ref was looking at, because, point blank range, it's very hard.
But is it even inside the box?
But yeah, it's probably on the edge of the box. as well.
Look, again, this is why you finish
That
higher on the
angle
ladder.
looks inside the box.
In theory, the home fans should be able to be the 12th player and get that sort of, pressure on the referees to look out for these things. It came and went very quickly, though, and only really Flannery appealed. Maybe if Victory had made a bigger deal out of it, they might have been able to...
I thought it was obvious enough. The hand was away from the body for a foul on the edge, at the very least.
Now, those are the contentious incidents, but we have to praise the referees as well, because the two disallowed goals were both excellent calls.
Yeah,
And we've
great
spoken
calls,
about how this competition doesn't have VAR and maybe doesn't need VAR. And sometimes, the cream rises to the top in the refereeing community. And Paola Orlandi, this is, it's not even 10 minutes into the grand final. And this is a great spot. M. Gielnik's offside, when this pass is played, still ducks behind the defender and then comes in to score.
Great call.
Now, and this, Adelaide United would have been throwing their remotes at the TV saying, where was this in the first leg? Sarah D'Apollonia goes and just irons out Langman on that corner.
And credit to Langman there, because, she knew she'd been pushed and I think played on it a bit, but hey, hands on the keeper, we know that's not allowed. She knew her opposition
how many different contests and duels are going on and how much grabbing and battling is going both ways. For the referee to still see that on the goalkeeper, I've got to give credit to Izzy Cooper, referee of the season for a reason.
And
she's
a great
I
ref.
think overall actually did have quite a good game.
And I'm recalling playing in games where she refed and she would always have dialogue with you and give you an explanation if not on the spot. As soon as that half went, she would call you out to explain her decisions. And in that game, they got the big calls right, which was great. But I'm still all for VR in finals. I really am.
Well,
bring it back.
Well, not just the players, for the refs as well, for some protection for them too.
Rightio. Well, there you have it. There's a call for the following season for VAR. Melbourne Victory probably feeling a little bit hard done by those goals, but there was some evidence during the past few weeks of a bit of bustle and tussle going on in the box, enabling their players to get high and head the ball in. So would it have been something that the ref would have been looking out for?
Well, look at this for a stat. Melbourne Victory had averaged 9 fouls per game through the course of the season. They conceded 18 in this match. Now, I know the game went 120 minutes rather than 90, but more or less per 90, that is equal to the highest number of fouls they conceded in any given game this season. Now, some people might say, that's the referee. Some people might say, the decisions, that they were looking a little bit closer at what Victory do. But the highest number of fouls in the season in the grand final, when they conceded as few as 4 in that first leg of the semi-final against Adelaide.
Yeah, and look, I think it's also the opposition you're up against as well. The Mariners are a physical team. They've got players out there like a Brooke Nunn who does get under your skin, and you're going to have to step up and beat them in those battles out there. So I think it's also the opposition that plays a role in that too.
Yeah, it's actually been their defenders, hasn't it? They've scored most of the goals for Victory during this season, and Claudia Bunge got her name on the score sheet and brought it back to 1-1 and made it exciting for all the extra time. But it's a move we've seen many times, Teo.
Well, the Tactician focused on it this week. If you're watching this show on the A-League's YouTube channel, the Tactician is exactly in the same spot. And I guess it's one thing to know what your opposition is going to do. It's another thing to stop it. The Mariners conceded 8 corners for the game. This was corner number 5. So Victory needed 5 chances to score a goal, and indeed they did. Yeah,
and Adelaide in that first leg, it was 9 corners, and from then it's just hard to keep them out. They're just so good at what they do. At some point, if you're giving away that amount of corners, they're going to take advantage of it.
And to be honest, even if it hadn't gone in there, Annabelle Martin on the line clearly handballs the ball as well, so it would have been a penalty
and a possible red.
Well, can we talk about how Victory attacked in open play, though? Because the numbers say 30 shots, 11 on target, but, and sorry to bring it up, only 2 XG for the game, but 0.07 XG per shot. And there was a run in extra time shortly after the handball shout where they had 5 shots in 4 minutes, and it was just peppering long shots, wide shots, high shots, and ones that Langman was able to save very comfortably. 30 total shots for the game, and they didn't really make the keeper work. And in terms of XG conceded, it was a middle-of-the-road, below-average game for the Mariners. Yes, the goalkeeper has played well in the game, but also Melbourne Victory did not make the most of the chances that they were creating.
And I think that was true to what their season showed as well. I don't think they were the best footballing team and producing the most chances, but they always found a way. But in this particular game, going over 120 minutes, not the case. And the Mariners stood up, and they're quite conservative when they need to be and organised and disciplined. And Victory found it very hard to break them down and open them up. I think when Furphy came on, it helped a bit.
Well, let me ask you this then. Did Jeff Hopkins go to his bench early enough, and did he use them enough? Because Holly Furphy was an absolute live wire when she came on the pitch.
She was, and she opened things up. She brought a different dynamic and, looked really dangerous. And perhaps, that's 70th minute here. Perhaps she could have come on a little bit earlier and really ran the Mariners down more, but we will never know.
I think there was proof here in the game, though. Holly Furphy gets subbed on, starts running at the defenders. Mariners sub on Blake Hughes to try and counter her one-on-one with fresh legs. But in addition to the shots and the chances she had, she also won the corner that they scored from. And I just wonder, we've seen Brooke Nunn be selfless, and for all of the, antagonism this season, she still has no ego when it comes. If Emma Husband summons her to the bench, she comes off. She is selfless in that respect, and is not in any way offended by being replaced by a 16 or an 18-year-old substitute for the Mariners. Did Victory show a lack of dare to win this game against an opponent that were happy to play for penalties? Could they have looked at some of the other players that were on the pitch and said, yes, you might be a bigger name, you might be a capped Matilda, but we need fresh legs, because fresh legs can run at defenders, can win us corners, can win us free kicks, and set pieces were still the number one way they were going to score in this game.
You could say that, but I think Victory went about the game the way they've gone about every other game in the regular season. There was no surprises for me, and maybe the element of surprise there would have helped, but you got a player like Em Gilnick out there. She's so experienced, and she was still running and having shots right until the end. So I back someone experienced.
But I disagree. I almost think if they'd taken off Gilnick for someone like Rosie Curtis or Laura Pickett and then moved someone like Janchevsky forward, I mean, yes, I know that is a surprise and a bit of a different move, but the Mariners did exactly that with Taylor Ray.
But that's Em Husband's style. It's not Jeff Hopkins' style.
But then I think it's
I'm not surprised.
But I mean, if you are too adherent to winning your way, and it ultimately, yes, they lose on penalties.
It worked for them
and
all
Victory
season.
Can very legitimately say we played the Mariners 4 times this season, and 2 wins, 2 draws, and a penalty shootout loss, right? But I still think you want to leave with the trophy, and you need to take risks to go and win that trophy. And surely after the Mariners were more or less playing for penalties against City the week before, because City were happy to play for penalties against them, couldn't they have learnt from the experience that maybe we don't want to run that risk 2 weeks in a row?
Look, I don't know what Jeff Hopkins is thinking about this, but what I see is him backing the way he's played all season, what's worked for his team. They were, 15 games unbeaten prior to that, which is huge.
10 wins in a row.
They just missed out on the minor premiership to a team who were unbeaten the whole season. So, really, you're going into the final, you're not the underdogs. You're going to go out there and dictate, and make the Mariners pull all the strings and try and beat you. And that's what the Mariners had to do to win the game.
I don't think it should sit well with them to say, though, penalties are a lottery, we were so close.
They are.
They were the favourites.
Had that first one gone in,
and
completely different.
They were the favourites. They should have done more to try and win it without going to a penalty shootout.
That's
let's hear what Jeff Hopkins had to say following the match.
Looking back over the season, extremely proud of the efforts of the team, how the team's progressed, how individuals have progressed, how some of the younger players have done over the season. Obviously, today's very disappointing. To lose in that manner, but it's kind of shows what we're all about as well. We go a goal down, which I don't think we've been a goal down for a very long time, and just the way that we reacted, it took us a little bit of time, but we start to take the game to them. There's a lot of upset players out there, but I'm sure, knowing the character of this group, it won't be something to dishearten them. It'll be something that will annoy them and drive them on to do better next year.
A noticeably deflated Jeff Hopkins there following Victory's loss in that grand final shootout, but he has a plethora of experience and wins under his belt. 7 grand finals, 4 wins, 3 losses now. No doubt he will pick himself up, as will the team, and they'll be back for a big season next season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what better motivation than losing the final, and they'll come back bigger, stronger, maybe try a few different things, Teo, next season.
Well,
the
if Victory
season.
wins the shootout, do you still give the medal to Izzy Gomez? Because I think first half, Alana Murphy was the best player on the pitch. I mean, my heart breaks for Alana Janchevsky. I thought she actually had a great grand final. And as we know, this is someone who bleeds for the victory, and she was the one who missed the penalty. But Murphy, particularly in the first half, on such a difficult pitch, which was, not easy to keep sure footing on, she actually made the game look a little bit, comfortable. And I think it's a credit to Galich and Gomez that they were able to lift their games in the second half, because Murphy was actually the one that looked like she might be the match winner for Victory.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with, either way, whoever it was, whether it was Gomez or Murphy, but it's hard to not have given it to Gomez, given, I don't know, she scored the first goal there, but I guess had Victory won the shootout, technically a player from the winning team does get chosen for it, doesn't it? But I wouldn't have.
Not all the time.
Generally it does. But I wouldn't have been upset seeing Izzy Gomez still go. I think both players deserved it. There were a number of players that deserved it out there in that.
Well, one thing that is not controversial and absolutely undeniable is the Central Coast Mariners are the 2025 Ninja A-League champions. We're going to dig into these two guys' team of this season in a moment. But first, let's find out what's cooking on socials with Narlene Masto, thanks to Ninja.
I'm Narlene Masto with What's Cooking on Socials, brought to you by the Ninja Woodfire Outdoor Oven, which can turn any space into an outdoor kitchen. A-League's legend Joe Montemuro has led Lyon to their 4th straight league title following a 3-0 win against rivals PSG. This latest success adds to Montemuro's impressive resume, having won trophies now in Australia, England, Italy and France. As for what's next for the Aussie, well, speculation around him becoming the next Matildas head coach is only growing. And speaking of, last week the Matildas squad was announced ahead of the Argentina series, and 6 A-League's players have been called up. One of the standout names on the list is Ninja A-League champion Isabel Gomez, who has officially completed the ultimate comeback. The 22-year-old earned a maiden call-up to the squad in November last year, but was forced to withdraw after picking up a serious knee injury. Now she'll have the opportunity to impress on the world stage. The Central Coast Mariners made history after winning the Ninja A-League Grand Final, and there was a special guest watching on from the stands. A-League's legend and Matilda superstar Sam Kerr was spotted, perhaps looking rather cold, watching all the drama and chaos unfold at Amy Park. And finally, the Ninja A-League season may be over, but the Premiers Melbourne City still have a trophy to play for. They'll continue their quest in the AFC Women's Champions League when they take on Itchen Red Angels in the semi-final on Wednesday. If they manage to progress and win the inaugural competition, they'll rack up over $1.5 million in prize money. And now, for the final time, it's back to your Dub Zone panel to discuss their teams of the Ninja A-League season.
Well, thank you, Narlene, and what a great job Narlene has done all season as well. Time to dig into your teams of the season, as she mentioned. Teresa, let's start with you. You want to go from the back or the front?
I'll go from the back. This was a fun team to pick, but yeah, I chose Courtney Newbon. I think she's had an outstanding season, a reason why the Victory had the best defence as well. Zoe Tolan there, right back. In the centre back, Morrison and Tonkin. And left back, Janchevsky. What a season Janchevsky's had. But that was Tonkin there scoring off a corner too. Janchevsky, I mean, she's so versatile. She takes set pieces as well, a player you need in your team.
Your former teammate.
Yeah, Taylor Ray has to be in there. Whether it's centre back, she's versatile out there. If the team needs, she can tuck in. Izzy Gomez. Erin Healy, I mean, I've enjoyed watching her play all season and think she's a real candidate for the Dolan Awards. Gilnick, I mean, second on the goal scoring.
Golden Boot?
Yeah, Golden Boot. That's amazing in itself. And Holly Mack, what a season she had.
Straight front line there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely lethal. Teo, what about you? Starting with the front line.
can't forget Michelle Heyman.
Yeah, so let's look at Teresa's team
Yeah,
first.
so-
I am interested. Are you playing Heyman and Gilnick in the same team?
Yeah, why not? Why not, Taya?
Okay.
They can combine together. Obviously, you know,
I don't have too many criticisms.
good
It's a very
physicality up
versatile
top.
team. Yeah.
You know, Heyman brings a ball down, plays Gilnick in. I think, yeah, it's. I'm happy with the team.
There's one big name you've left out there who I did include in my team.
Okay, and who's that?
Well, let's have a look at the team I've gone for here then.
Interested to know.
So I have gone with Claudia Jenkins in goal. I mean, you couldn't lose with goalkeeper of the year. We had some outstanding players, both statistically and in terms of performance. I liked Alexia Apostolakis, also the versatility she showed playing left back and right back this season. So a great season from her. Jess Nash held the Mariners' defence together after Ash Irwin went down and had to guide Taylor Ray and Bianca Galich through the season before King came back. Kayla Morrison picks herself. I mean, what a captain, what a player.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on Janchevsky. You might remember at the halfway point of the season, I said if Beattie Goat hadn't retired, she would have been my left back.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm choosing Janchevsky instead. Now, in midfield, you can't go past Izzy Gomez. I have to agree with you on that one. What a season from her. Annalie Longo, I think, was outstanding for the Wellington Phoenix. Put that team on her back. Couldn't quite carry them into finals. Amy Chisari, I've got some killer stats on her, which will tell you exactly why I've got her in team of the season for this year, even from the Wooden Spooners. Holly McNamara, a bit of an automatic selection, one might say. Just what a season from the Mac, and awesome to see her back in the Matildas as well. And Erin Healy transformed Adelaide, I think. Absolutely one of the standouts, and unfortunately got injured towards the back end of the season, but still came good in finals. And Tamiki Yalabti, I've picked her as a forward, held her head high as Brisbane's season began to sink. How could you leave Yalop out of your team of the season?
Well, there's a lot of players I think, you know, wow, I could have chosen them, but I knew you'd pick her, Teo, so I thought I'd go different. But we agreed on a few more than I actually would have thought.
Well,
your front line was quite similar, but you've put Izzy Gomez at right midfield, Teo.
Well, no, I'm playing in midfield 3, Longo is the 10, and I've got width
Two
from
sixes and a 10.
McNamara and Healy, yeah. Now, I want to give you, people might be saying, why am I picking a player from the Wooden Spoon team? Amy Chisari this season led the league with 101 attempted tackles and led the league with 78 tackles won. That's 9 clear of second place. She was numbers 2 in the league in recovering possession behind only Alex Chidiac of the Victory. And do you know who was number 1 in that stat, both tackles won and possession recovered last season? It was Izzy Gomez.
Wow.
So Amy Chisari is on the launch pad to follow Izzy Gomez, and I'm telling you, invest now because the stocks are going up.
The breakout star, you think?
Well, I think Izzy Gomez's numbers were, you know, very indicative last season that she was already a top-line player. She just didn't have the PR. This season she started scoring goals. Everyone's talking about her, and now she's an A-League champion. Look, I don't think the Wanderers will be A-League champions this time next season, but I hope desperately that they do build a strong enough team that Amy Chisari can have a similar sort of improvement in her career, because the evidence is absolutely there.
It is.
Any other young players you want to keep an eye on?
Look, I really loved watching Amy Chisari. Actually, mid-season, she was by far my favourite player in the competition, and interesting stats there that back it up, Teo. And the question is, and there were a few great young players in the Wanderers themselves. The question is, you know, they need to keep them together for next season. Are we going to see, you know, clubs on the hunt for a player like Amy Chisari? Is she going to be in different colours next season? So,
well, let me throw this curly at you then. Of all the rounds that we've seen and all the goals that we've seen, what is your favourite moment of the season?
I can't pick one, but I have an all-round highlight of the season, and my highlight is how close it was till the very end. First and second place wasn't decided until the final round. The top 6 weren't decided until the final couple rounds as well, and I just really enjoyed how close the competition was, and can't wait for next season.
I've got to say, this is a little indulgent, but I really do love the work that the female commentators are doing in the Ninja A-League. We had one round this season where the 3 commentators, Taryn Heddo, Georgia Radjic and Pakua Frimpong, who all started 3 seasons ago together on this same pathway, they did all 6 games of the round. I think it was round 12. And just to see a moment like the way Taryn called Momo Hayashi's swerving free kick, I mean, these are the voices of the league. And as a peer of theirs and as someone who's very invested in them bringing female voices to the league, it's incredibly satisfying.
Good shout,
and not just the Hayashi goal, but hearing how those 3 have called it this season.
Love it, Teo,
That is my moment of the season.
Great
and it
shout,
means you can just enjoy the league every week. It's about
absolutely.
It's not about just the work that I do, which I enjoy a lot, but it's also about being able to sit back and watch the other games and really enjoy them, because people who care so much about the league are putting the work in behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Well, my favourite moment of the league's Janchevsky's left foot and the free kick that she just let loose into the top corner. And we have seen some wonderful goals around the season, but also the climb of Adelaide, because I love when a struggler can turn a season around like this. And I think, hats off to their coach in the way that he brought a player like Erin Healy in, firstly, but also the climb from wooden spoon to semi-finalist is pretty amazing. So I'm curious to know what you think teams can learn from teams like Adelaide for next season, ones like the Wanderers that didn't potentially meet their potential this year.
Yeah, I think, it's going to be interesting to see all the recruitment that happens in the off-season, and I think, teams can really learn from a coach like even Em Husband and Adrian Stenser, the way they've recruited, and I think coaches need to get out to NPL games now, because there are absolute gems out there playing that can absolutely step up to the Ninja A-League and do fantastically well. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Believe me, the player market and movement is already well and truly underway. I mean, Newcastle did announce that Ryan Campbell will not be returning as their senior coach next season, so that appointment is vital. And there are clubs that have missed the finals this season, like Wellington, who are still yet to announce their coach as well. The timing of when they're going to announce their next coach has led a lot of people to believe that when Bev Priestman's year-long ban expires, that she will be stepping into the job, which is exciting to have a gold medal winning coach potentially coming into the league.
Huge.
It's going to be a massive off-season. And I think just look, fans need to be demanding of their clubs. Announce your signings, be proactive, get on the runway nice and early, and let's build a bit of momentum into the new season. Doesn't matter where you finished on the ladder, the Mariners should sell everyone hope that next season can be your season.
Yeah, put bums on seats as well, please. All right, let's check in with what's happening on Total A-Leagues.
Coming up on Total A-Leagues, we speak to one of the most entertaining and polarising players in the A-League, Daniel Arzani. We'll discuss the epic semi-finals, and there's plenty of transfer rumours getting people excited. Tommy, what was your highlight of the weekend?
I think it's got to be Auckland's performance. Obviously, they've done it all season, and when the pressure was on in the first leg, they did it again, and what a performance it was from them.
Yep, they're nearly home, nearly a grand final in Auckland to look forward to. Watch Total A-Leagues every Wednesday on YouTube, the A-Leagues website and app.
A big thank you to Vince and Tommy there, and our finals time in the A-League as well. And that means next Tuesday night we'll find out who wins the Julie Dolan and Johnny Warren medals for 2025. Make sure you tune into that one on 10 Play and A-League's YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern for the night of nights for the A-League's season. Well, with that, we say farewell for this season on the Dub Zone. I can't quite believe it's over. A massive thank you to Teo and Teresa for their input, your enthusiasm and your incitement and your passion for the game as well, and everything you put into it during Dub Zone and throughout the year as well. It's been great to have you both with us.
And thank you, Avi. Much appreciated.
Thank you too as well.
Yeah, and a big thank you too to our series producer Sam Cupid and all of the team behind the scenes that deliver you the latest news and views on the Ninja A-League every Tuesday. The good news is we will be back again for season 25 and 26, which promises to be bigger and better than ever before. But until then, from everyone here at Dub Zone, a big thank you, and we'll see you next season.